Hey, hey,
Hey,
buddy. Hey,
hey,
buddy, the elf.
Buddy,
Hey, hey, Lindsay.
buddy. Yes.
What time is it? Wait,
Oh,
Andy, will you tell us what time it is?
yes.
What time is it? What time is it? It's prime time. It's prime time. What time is it? What time is it? Prime time. Prime time. Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to prime time. It's Tuesday. And on Tuesday, we talk about guitars, we get a little nerdy, but we like to have some fun. Thank y'all for joining. Tonight, please say hello to Buddy the Elf. Hey, Buddy!
Hi, buddy.
Welcome to the prime time. Can we call you Bud? And also our special guest tonight, Mr. Gabriel O'Brien. Welcome to the show, Gabe. Ah, there's that artwork. Someday it's gonna be priceless. Say hello to Lindsay Love. Hey, Lindsay.
What's up?
Guy is creeping, elves are creeping, elves are creeping just the right way. Say hello to Mr. Jay Parkin in the upstairs left-hand corner. Hey, Jay, welcome back to your show, and we call it Primetime.
Oh, man, your show. It's our show, Andy. And by the way, no one comes here for me. They come here for you
For
and
the
Lindsay.
songs. They come for the songs.
Dude, Buddy is so rad right now. Like, it's just, I can't stop.
It is kind of the coolest. Okay, so Buddy the elf.
I love it.
Yo, before we get, hey, Gabe. Hey,
Hello.
hey, Feed.
how you
It's
doing?
Gabriel O'Brien.
How's it
Hey.
going?
We let him into the show because we won't let him answer any questions. But you know what? He's a smart fella. So at the end of the show, we have a little treat for you. Maybe.
treat.
And we may let Gabriel answer some questions. But
Big
first
question.
off, tonight's episode, welcome to Taylor Primetime. Before we kick this thing off, we are talking about home studio recording and much, much more. I am painfully wearing a Cleveland hat for Gabriel. I really, 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 really wanted to put this hat on, but my mom's fine with it. She said it was okay. I called her earlier. I was like, Mom, can I wear a Cleveland hat? And she said, yes, for Gabriel, you can. So I'm wearing a Cleveland hat. Anyway, so let's talk about Buddy the Elf real quick.
Let's
If
talk.
you watched the episode last week, our fearless leader, the man,
Where
the
you at,
man
Beats?
whose name
The
is
man,
on
the
the
myth, the
headstock,
legend.
Where you at?
really leaned into you, Lindsay, about your background. So explain what's going on there real quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, BT, Bob, was upgraded his background like significantly from the last two times he's been on. And he kind of put us all to shame. And he went around kind of, Jay, yours is okay. Andy's is amazing. He's floating. Lindsay, you could do some
Death
work.
Star.
You could be more intentional with your background. So in all defense, I'm like, we're all working from home. I have kids. They're running around. I want to be in a nice living room, but I can't. I'm squeezed into like a closet room with music gear. So I did move. So we don't have the drape anymore. This is the back. I did move. The keyboard, the stuff is here. But I thought I'm really going to one up everybody and make Bob really question his background. And
you know what? Once I told a friend of mine, good friend of mine, this relates to that Buddy the Elf scenario real quick. I told a good friend of mine, I said, you know what? You look like $1 million. And he looked back at me and said, well, you look like $2 million. So Lindsay, your background today looks like $2 million.
Thank
and
you.
I found out that Bob Taylor is a fan of Buddy the Elf. So
I didn't even know that.
yeah, he's stoked on Buddy the Elf. As am I. we could talk about favorite Christmas albums or movies in a minute, but let's dive into maybe welcoming Gabriel O'Brien to the show. And then we have a couple of segments. Gabe, your background is interesting. What is going on there?
I started out in music retail, and
I didn't ask you what you're doing.
Oh, what am I?
I asked you, where are you?
Where am I? I'm in my studio. This is my home studio. This is in the finished basement of my house. We built this when I got married to be my studio and house all my stuff.
Nice. Did you build this city on rock and roll? No. Okay.
Little Jefferson Starship there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we need to roll into some segments real quick, and then we're going to dive into what you do. How's that? Segments?
Yeah, do it.
Do it.
Are we going to? I think I have a way to do this, unless Andy wrote it into the song. Okay, Andy, we may or may not have a Hug Your Haters.
I adjusted it, I think.
Okay, cool. That's great. Wonderful.
There was an earlier version today, but it got changed. So let's see what happens here.
Okay. Take it away.
Everybody needs a hug these days. Maybe now more than ever. Remember, keep non-pod hugs distant or virtual. Non-pod. Stay away from crowds. Sneeze only into corners. Thanks for telling us how you feel. Thanks for letting us know if we make you upset. Just watch a different show. It's only guitars. Remember this, please. We're not traveling to the moon or trying to cure a disease. F this year, it can end too soon. And things will get better. Things will get better in the new year.
Very.
Wow.
That was so nice.
That was
beautiful.
That was wonderful, man.
Thanks.
I shed a single tear. However, it was translucent. You couldn't see it, but it was there, I promise, in spirit. So Hug Your Haters, as you all know, Hug Your Haters is a segment of the show where if and when we get hate mail, if you will, maybe an email or a comment or something in the feed or after the show is live and in the comments, we like to bring a virtual hug to that person because usually they're just upset about something. And 2020 has been crazy and we've all been upset about certain things. We were going to read the email because it was the greatest hate email we have received, period. In fact, we were called I got to say this part. We were called a giant heap of trash. However, he then wrote an email back and apologized.
Right.
So there's no hate. No. It's kind of like he showed the love back, kind of. So that was it. I mean, do we have any other show the loves?
Everybody has bad days.
Yep.
Everyone has bad days, even Gabriel O'Brien.
Yeah.
Even Buddy the Elf.
We had some show the loves. I thought I saw like two or
we got a bunch of show the love.
We had a lot of show love. So I mean,
we got some personal video, which was
super cool. From Sean. That was really cool.
Sean sent us a really cool little message.
That was incredible.
And we hope that Sean Sean and his family stay safe, and his wife comes around and is feeling better soon. So that was really nice. Thank you, Sean. Super cool.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for showing the love. We appreciate you week in and week out, just like we said last week and we've said every week. We're having as much fun becoming a primetime family as you guys are, I hope. And Gabriel, you're part of that primetime family.
Oh,
so we are going to move on and give each other a virtual hug, a virtual high five. But we're going to move on to the next segment we call What Are You Listening To?
What are you listening to?
Andy, go for it.
What's new? What is new? What are you listening to? What are you listening to?
We saw some comments in there real quick from people asking if we've received their Hug Your Haters songs. We have. We need to figure out the contest first, so we're holding on to those closely. Okay.
Yeah.
We got some entries?
We did
get some entries.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're great.
Awesome.
So you better watch out, my friend. I think what should happen is the winner should have to come on primetime and perform it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah,
that's a good
solid
one.
I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
And maybe the grand prize, maybe we vote. Maybe we have a few of them and like 4 consecutive weeks we do that. And then maybe the grand prize is a guitar shaped item.
Uh-oh. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't say.
You're not making any promises, but
I'm not making
you
any
didn't say
promises.
it. You didn't say it, but
Something guitarish.
we're getting at that.
Guitarish. Okay. Anyway, so wonderful doing brainstorming with you guys real quick.
Right.
Lindsay,
What's up?
what in the heck are you listening to? Wait, what are you listening to?
Yeah, well, we're in full Christmas mode now, right? So I'm listening to nothing but Christmas music, like Tori Kelly's new Christmas album, going back to Harry Cotton Jr., Christmas, Babyface Christmas, my personal favorite, Charlie Brown Christmas, my favorite. That's what's going on.
I mean, am I wrong?
All the Christmas music.
Andy, what are you listening to?
Well, I'm going to be a little selfish with my answer, but before I answer, we amongst the sales staff at Taylor, we had a meeting last Friday, and we all talked about our favorite 3 or 4 songs, and then there was a Spotify playlist created from it, which I haven't checked out yet, but I don't know maybe if anybody's watching, we could get the name, but it's pretty cool because there was like 15 of us, and we all talked about our favorite tunes and stuff. But my selfish answer, Jay, is you remember our old buddy Michael Lilly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Michael's a former Taylor employee. He worked with us for a long time. Awesome guitar player, songwriter, and he and our album is being mixed this week. So we've been working on a record for a long time, and the last 7 days in a row, we've listened to a new song every day. We got a new mix, and we get tweaks back, and we get changes. So tonight we're on our last song. So that's what I've been listening to. I've been listening to stuff that I know every single note of, which is not that surprising, but it's coming together really, really well. And my buddy Anthony Gravino's taking care of the mix in Illinois for us. So
you've been working on that for a while.
Yeah, a long time.
I remember you and Michael Lilly telling me that when the V-Class guitars launched in 2016, you guys went back and rewrote parts of the record because you could play the parts differently.
I re-recorded. There's a couple exposed finger pick stuff that I redid on 914 V-Class, and also I redid the acoustic guitar with a 717. A part that I already liked, but I just went back and did it again and ended up keeping both of those. So yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I can't wait.
Looking forward to hearing that.
Thanks, Gabe.
Yeah, that's gonna be
two of the best guitar players I know. So it's gonna be
Michael's
it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and obviously Andy is.
Gabriel, what are you listening to?
What am I listening to? Well, I have been listening to one particular project that we've been working on a lot, that you'll all learn about soon. But it's important to take downtime from things you're working on. This is your first recording tip. There are some folks saying, when are we going to get to talking about recording in the comments? Now. So one of your first recording tip is take a break and listen to other things. So I pulled a couple things that I've been listening to. KT Tunstall's Acoustic Extravaganza album is absolutely wonderful. Always worth a listen to. Bon Iver's For Emma Forever Ago, and Damien Rice's Oh. All 3 records that were recorded at home on home recording gear.
You know, it's awesome. Somebody just is giving me that record, Damien Rice. Oh, like tomorrow. Someone said, "Hey, I got a mint copy of this. Mint. I'm gonna bring it to you, and you can have it."
It's so good.
Yeah, it's such a great record.
It's such a great.
I'm on the Christmas thing too, but I've been listening to one Christmas record, and it's because I can't get it out of my head, and I love it. I beat this thing up every single year. It's Sia's Christmas record is my favorite. And I listen to it all the time. It's so good for me that I listen to it year round. That's how much I like it.
We play a lot of Christmas music here. We have 2 young kids, so we do play a lot of Christmas music. For me, it's like Ella and like Nat King Cole, the classic stuff.
Yeah.
My wife is all the like pentatonics, and she likes Christmas metal. You'll appreciate this, Jay.
We got some metal. It may or may not be. We have some newer folks in the feed of this.
They're not happy with us.
Guitar Nerd Talk Show.
I don't got time.
I'm going to explain what Taylor Primetime is real quick. Taylor Primetime is a guitar nerd talk show. Yeah. So we talk a lot. At the beginning of the episode, we get to know each other. We talk. We're letting you behind the curtain to see what Taylor Guitars looks like from the inside. So we will cut to the chase, and we might do it right now. Gabriel O'Brien, welcome to Taylor Primetime.
Hello, sir.
Episode 29. We've done 29 things. What in the heck do you do, Gabriel O'Brien?
I make stuff. Is the short version. I started out working in a guitar shop, and then went into marketing for a little bit, and then moved into making content. I'm an audio engineer and a cinematographer, so I kind of combine those 2 things by working with Taylor and some other clients and make video content. But a lot of what I do has to do with audio mixing too, and then I am an audio engineer too, so I make records and stuff. So, which I've been doing a lot more of lately.
But weren't you in guitar retail for quite a while?
I was in guitar retail for 17 years. Yeah, I was in guitar retail for a long time.
So,
which helps when you're dealing with people that are upset about something. There's a lot of good experience to draw on there. So, I got used to hugging your haters early. So,
it's part of the game. It's part of it's a good time. We love you all in the feed, no matter what. We love you. Okay. So Gabe, welcome to the show. You are actually a moderator on the show during the show. You've been in and around Taylor Guitars for a long time. You are a gold level service tech. What are you?
I think silver. I'm not gold level. Gold level, you have to come out to the factory and do stuff, and I never got there.
Okay. You're a silver level service tech. So Lindsay, think of those trivia questions that have to do with service.
Oh man,
let's explode.
Okay, let's not go too far. I haven't had a bench. Somebody asked earlier in the comments if I had like an elderly repair station in the back. No, I don't. This is a recording studio actually. So no, I do not repair guitars anymore. It's been years since I've repaired guitars a lot. I still remember a lot, but it's been years.
So
don't beat me up too bad, Lindsay.
No.
All right. So home recording, you've been recording for a very long time. A little background on Gabriel. I work with Gabriel within Taylor. He helps create a lot of our content. I have different content creators that I work with, different cinematographers, different recording engineers. A lot of what you hear on the audio side of any video that we release has been mixed by Gabriel. So he's got a very, very special talent. He's got a very special ear. So we thought it would be absolutely perfect to have him come on the show. He's got experience with music retail. He knows the gear inside and out. And we're going to ask him a couple of those. We're going to dive deep into a couple of those really sticky points, like microphone placement and such. So, Gabriel, if you could let us know, just talk about a beginner, somebody who's just getting into recording. They've been playing guitar for quite a while. They feel like it's time to up their game and record what they play, what they write. What do they need to start with? Where do they need to start? And how does it need to start?
The easiest thing in the world you can do if you want to record yourself playing, simplest way, right? Your phone. You've got a music memo app nowadays. You can use add-on microphones. Shure makes the little MV88s. Those are great. And you can record right into your phone. That's the simple level, right? If you want to go a step above that, you could use something like a mobile recorder. I should have grabbed one and brought it over, like Tascam and Zoom. A bunch of people make little stereo field recorders that do a pretty good job. The next step above that would be getting an interface of some kind, and a microphone, or like a USB microphone. And a USB microphone just plugs straight into any kind of computer. A lot of times they'll even plug into phones and iPads and stuff now too. So those are kind of all different avenues to go down. It depends how far in you want to go. I would say if you want to be able to record multiple tracks, some kind of interface and microphone is the easiest way to start. Get a good condenser microphone. They're the easiest thing to record with.
Condenser microphone.
Mm-hmm. Condenser microphones are more sensitive. So a dynamic microphone like a Shure 57. I should have grabbed a couple examples. This is all microphones, by the way. A dynamic microphone like a Shure 57 or 58 is going to take a lot of air pressure to move the diaphragm on the microphone. A condenser microphone like this uses phantom power. So there's a little signal, a 48 volt signal coming up this microphone cable that's giving this thing power to make it more sensitive. So I can be farther away.
So that's that interesting 48 volts button that is on every single recording interface or recorder.
That's that. Yeah.
That is
so
that.
That'll feed phantom power to this microphone, which makes it more sensitive.
How do you feel about recorders like Zoom devices or Tascam, little Tascam recorders that have condenser microphones on them?
I think those are a great way to get started. If what you want to do is, one of the natural progressions and kind of how I started in recording is a desire to hear what you sound like. We all know what we think we sound like when we play and we're sitting in our living room, but hearing yourself back is really good feedback. So that's a really natural progression from learning to play and wanting to just kind of be better. So getting one of those little all-in-one recorders like the Zooms or the Tascams and just being able to record yourself and hear it back, or if you just want to record some Christmas songs and share them with your family, that's a really great way to go. Or record a band practice when we're able to do stuff like that again. That's a really good way to do those things.
So it's a guitar nerd talk show and we're Taylor Guitars.
Yeah.
What is the best way to get started at recording an acoustic guitar?
The easiest way is if you have a guitar with a pickup in it, you can simply plug it in. The ES2 is a great pickup system. It does a great job at reproducing sound. The best way is always going to be to use some kind of microphone. Microphones are always going to sound, the most authentic. But being able to, plug a guitar straight into most interfaces, they'll have an instrument channel. And the instrument channel functions much like a live DI box would or direct box. So that's going to be the simplest way. The next thing would be like a USB microphone, which means you don't need any kind of interface. It's going to convert the analog signal of the microphone into digital, just going over that USB cable. And then again, the next step up would be getting a small interface like Scarlett. The Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 is a good little interface. And any good little microphone, Audio Technica's AT2020, I think is $99. those are nice. This is a 4040, which is kind of the beginning of their Pro series. And those are, I don't know, $300 ish.
Is it true that when you're recording an acoustic guitar, and then I think you have a question, Andy, is it true that you need the most expensive Neumann microphone on the planet?
No. You'll
you
always hear me say it matters so much more where you put a microphone than what microphone you use. So much more. Jay and I have worked together on the acoustic sessions videos where we've gone and recorded places. And I take kind of a variety of stuff there, even down to like a $200 CAD audio microphone sometimes, just because I like that mic and it's a good utility to have. So no, it doesn't. The cost of the microphone is not necessarily indicative to the sound you're going to get out of it. Being able to put it in the right spot is so much more important.
And also, I think Gabe, you would agree with that. This is just as important as the microphone, right? I mean,
absolutely.
The person, right?
Yeah. The listening to what you do. One of the best things you can do when you're setting up a microphone for the first time and you're trying to figure out what's going to sound best for my guitar is grab a set of headphones. I'll grab some just for the heck of it, just for a prop. Grab a set of headphones, put them on. These aren't like shiny wrapper looking headphones, but grab a set of headphones, put them on, and set the mic up in front of your guitar and shift yourself around a little bit so that you can hear the guitar as you play in different spots. And that will give you a sense of what your guitar sounds like from different angles. If I were recording a player, a lot of times I'll kind of turn one ear towards the player and just move around while they play. And you get this kind of picture of where the sweet spot is. And you can kind of hear it. You go, oh, okay, that sounds the most like the guitar sounds when I'm sitting there playing it. And that'll just give you a good idea to where to start placing it.
He touched on a good point that a lot of people always ask us, and they ask us in road shows all the time, which is, he said the simplest way to record is to plug your ES2 right into your phone or into your little interface or whatever you have. And then the question is, how come everybody always says, I want my guitar to sound natural. And as soon as I plug it in, it doesn't. So why is that, Gabe? Why does, when you plug your any guitar, in my opinion, right, and you plug any guitar into an amplifier, into a PA system, into some sort of a recording device, why does it not sound like it does in your living room when you're sitting on your couch?
I mean, a couple things. First of all, where you play matters. When you record, and you know this, Andy and Jay and Lindsay, you've all recorded. So where you record matters. The type of room you're in, the part of the room you're in, what you're facing, all those things will actually, play into what you're doing. But the other thing is pickups, their job is to get the best estimation of the sound of the guitar. They are not placed where your ears are. Your ears are in a specific spot kind of above the guitar. And so you're getting this picture right here. And the pickup is not interacting the same way. In most acoustic guitars, and I'm just saying most brands, they use under-saddle pickups. And under-saddle pickups sit under it's piezo crystals, and they sit under the saddle. And there's, about 60 pounds of pressure pushing down on that, Andy? Is that about right?
Yeah, depending on stage, ish.
And so they're squashing down on that. And so you're not getting a lot of dynamics. You're getting the downward pressure of the strings against a pickup. Mm-hmm. So, you can take 20 guitars that have those type of pickups in them and play them on stage, and they all sound like the same guitar because you're not hearing the guitar at all. You're hearing the pickup.
Right.
The thing about the ES2 and the ES1 before it, the idea is to try and sound more like the guitar. The best way to, hear an acoustic guitar is to be in a room with an acoustic guitar. The second best way is a microphone. The third best way is a really good pickup, and the ES2 is a really good pickup. It sits against the saddle with considerably less pressure, so it's a much more sensitive pickup, and it's gonna sound a lot more natural.
I would say it's a weapon for recording. My opinion. everything that we do together, when I mic stuff, I will always mic it and I will always take a DI. So I will take a line out of the guitar, and we have that as a safety. So going back to the beginner, I have a Taylor guitar pickup. I don't need to invest in all of the gear. I just need to get my information, my guitar information, into a recording device, whether it is a computer or a recording, a recorder. We have a sound devices recorder that we use when we do video stuff. It's got incredible preamps. It sounds fantastic. When I get the audio to you, you're pretty happy with that. But a lot of it comes down to where I place the microphone. Not even what the microphone is. I have what do I use? A Shure one.
SM81 a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. So give us like 5 microphones that are just good microphones to maybe think about when you're going into a store to buy something to record with.
If you're going to buy one microphone, and it's just for guitar, the question I would ask, shifting back to retail days, I would immediately ask, are you just going to use this for guitar, or do you want to use it for vocals too? Because if you're going to use it for vocals too, I would probably point you towards large diaphragm condensers. Small diaphragm condensers I tend to like more for guitar. And that's just a personal preference. But large diaphragm condensers are going to have a lower self noise. So they're going to have a lower noise floor. That at the beginning isn't going to mean a lot to you, but when you start adding compression and things like that, you're less likely to hear a noisy signal. When you're playing something like a guitar, which can either be percussive or melodic, you're not going to notice it as much, but you're really going to notice it more in a human voice. So small diaphragm mics have more detail. So let's see, just a rundown of some good mics. Budget friendly things like Shure's PGA series are really nice. I have a love of the SM81. I've always been a big fan of that. If you're looking for one that's a little higher end. Slate Audio makes a cool little mic. The ML2, it's like $150, which is, in the world of microphones, not very much money really. And it comes with some cool modeling technology that kind of allows you to use it and sound like other mics. So that's the Slate ML2. They make an ML1 that's a large diaphragm too. I have both of those and they're cool. What else is cool? I mentioned Cat Audio earlier. They kind of will always have a little special place in my heart because it's an Ohio company originally. They make an E70 that's got interchangeable capsules. So that's kind of nice because you can change the pickup pattern a little bit. What else? Audio-Technica's AT4081 is one I'll always love a lot. It's an active ribbon microphone, which means it's a different type of, these use a gold sputter diaphragm, and a ribbon is literally a membrane suspended, and it's just a different way of picking up. So it smooths out kind of the top end. So if you've got somebody that's a heavy strummer or is really percussive, that's kind of a nice mic that I like a lot. That Slate ML2 is like so hard to pass up, and it's one of the things I just kind of recommend to people all the time, because with software you can make it sound like 10 different microphones,
With the Slate ML2, the question I get a lot is, can you just use it as a regular condenser microphone, or does it need to be used in a DAW?
Anything you're going to record is going to need to be recorded into a DAW, but you can use it. So let's say you want to use it with your portable recording device. You can totally use it like that. And then when you go to mix it later, if I'm mixing at home, I use Logic, and I'm bringing it into Logic, and I know which channel is that microphone, I can still use the modeling software. Or you can use it without the modeling software. It's still a nice sounding little mic.
Awesome. Andy, what's your favorite guitar microphone to record with?
I was gonna just add something to what Gabriel was talking about too. If you had somebody who said they want to start recording electric guitar amps, would you still steer them towards a condenser, or would you choose something else?
Probably the most common thing people use for electric guitar amps is going to be like the Shure SM57. I like to typically for electric guitar amps, I will mic. Well, I kind of do a complicated thing. It's probably a little deep, but I will take a direct box because you're always plugging in an electric guitar. So I will take the direct feed out of the electric guitar and go into the DI, right? I will take the through channel of the DI into the amp into the amp, and then the direct out into my DAW. So I have a clean feed straight from the guitar as it is. Then typically I will mic the amp with a 57 or like a Sennheiser 906 or a ribbon mic. It just depends what sound I'm going for. And then again, depending on what sound I'm going for, I might add a condenser mic from farther away. So you can go pretty deep. I mean, that's, multiple channels of audio right there. So, but something like a 57 is probably the world's most common guitar amp mic.
Right.
They're not something I really use on acoustic guitars very much. That's not my favorite for acoustic guitar. They are a perfectly usable mic. They just tend to require a lot more gain. And if your recording interface doesn't have a lot of clean gain at the preamps or something like that, it can be just a little hard. So not my first pick.
Yeah. To answer your question, Jay, I'm a fan of, I think, a little bit what we would call darker sounds. And I really like ribbon microphones. There's a couple that SE makes, I think, that are pretty affordable. They can take pretty high SPL levels as well. You can put them on a cabinet if you want.
Yep.
The microphones you can buy these days for, up to $100, $200, $300, $400 are pretty amazing, actually. Much better than they were, when I got started into this whole thing, for sure.
Yeah, me too. We're in a lucky time that way.
Lindsay, do you have a
that?
favorite microphone that you work with?
Well, like you guys, for acoustic guitar, I would just use the SM81, and I've used this one, the 7B here, so because I do both the vocals and guitar, and it's all about placement, because you get a really good sound out of these things if you place it in the right spots, depending on the tone you're looking for. The best mic I've recorded with at a studio was the Manley. It was a large diaphragm, the Manley tube condenser. That I was like, I hear something, but it's also like a $3,000-$4,000 mic. So I'm not going to be dropping that.
No, you're not.
No, I'll do it when I'm in studios doing work, but I wouldn't drop that personally.
My favorite thing to do to mic an electric guitar with actually is an SM7, and I just pop the filter off, right?
Yeah.
And I just place it in the right spot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of lights and there's a lot of measurement and there's a lot of that. But this is one of my favorite mics to record with, just all around. It's fun. It's a good thing. I think what would be helpful is we have a ton of questions in the feed.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of questions emailed to us. So I think we should cut right to some Q&A and go for it. I think all in all, a summary here is, yes, for some of you in the feed, you know all this information. We get it. But some of you don't. And recording can be it can be a scary thing, right? Yeah. I worked at a Sam Ash in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. I like saying that and pointing at Andy, right? You went to Buffalo Grove High School, right?
Sure did.
Yeah. So I worked at the Sam Ash Music in Buffalo Grove, Illinois, and I managed the recording department. So microphones were like my most favorite thing, right? Talk about doing unboxings. We would get a new mic and I would be like, I got to try it. I got to record it. I got to figure it out. I think the summary here is, don't be afraid to record.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
Do your research
experiment.
Yep.
That's how I got into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Jay, before we jump into questions, because I'll be honest, I have to look through them all again, but I'm not sure this comes up. But just Gabe, for everybody in the chat, like, say you have the very standard SM57 mic. That's what you're working with.
Sure.
Yep. What are your favorite placements for, like, maybe you can run us through just quickly, like, your favorite placements for, like, getting the mid range, but maybe accentuating the high range. or yeah, just placements. Where are we placing these to get some good tones?
So I kind of have a go-to starting point. With an SM57, you're going to need a lot of gain because it's a dynamic mic. So you're either going to need really clean preamps that you can kind of push on hard like you would use with an SM7B, or you're going to need something like a cloud lifter between there, which will give you more clean gain, or to mic the guitar a lot more closely. My kind of go-to starting point is the upper bow of the guitar on the treble side. So, illustration. Upper bow of the guitar, treble side. This is basically the cutaway area, right? So I typically like to aim for this area. On the internet, a lot of times you'll hear people talk about miking the 12th fret and things like that, which is a fine place to start also. My thing about the 12th fret is that it tends to be a little bit bright and stringy. However, if that's what you're going for, say you've got a really busy mix and you want to really cut through, that's a really good spot to put a microphone because you're going to get a lot of string sound. Same thing with miking kind of closely near where your picking hand is. You're going to hear the strings. You're going to hear pick on the strings a lot. Typically, I'll go about 12 inches out from that area. And it just gives you some of the warmth of the body with giving you just enough cut to kind of get through the mix. That's my go-to starting point. Another spot I really like is about shoulder high to your strumming arm from kind of 3 or 4 feet away, and then just angled down slightly so that you're aimed at the bridge of the guitar. And that's a lot of body and warmth. It kind of estimates that player position sound a lot. You'll get a lot of the warmth of the guitar that way, especially when you combine those two things. The one place I never ever put a microphone is directly in front of the sound hole. It's a really bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that, Gabe?
A sound hole. Guitars don't function exactly like a speaker, but for this moment's purposes, let's think of it that way. When a speaker cone moves, it's pushing out air, right? So the sound hole is like an air ejection port, and you're getting this burst of air out of it. So when you put a microphone in front of that, you're getting this whoomp, and there's no way to EQ it out. Nothing will actually get rid of it. You can minimize it, but you can't EQ it out. And so you constantly get this kind of wumpy sound, and it'll happen in different frequencies depending on what chords you're using and all kinds of stuff. So it's just the amount of air that's kind of rushing out at you. It makes it not a great spot for it.
Wonderful. Nevertheless, how about we go into some Q&A, because we got them rifling at us. So we can do that. Then again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is a special show. We have a really cool ending to this show tonight, so you need to stick around. Don't hate us that much. I mean, we are going to have a Guitar Nerd talk show. That's what we do. We talk a lot.
I mean, we have Buddy here. You can't be mad.
You can't be mad at Buddy.
How can you be mad at Buddy?
Yeah.
Let's jump in. Buddy has a lot of questions.
All right, you want to do some Q&A? Here's how it goes.
Yeah.
Lindsay, Andy, and I will ask Gabriel questions. He will answer them to the best of his ability. If we stump him, there's no rules to this. We're just asking you questions. Anyway,
yeah, no trivia.
All right, no trivia.
We'll
get to trivia in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay, do you want to start off?
Let's do it. This is from Kareem. The question is, for live recording of a singer and acoustic guitar player, how can the microphones be arranged to reduce crosstalk between the singer track and the guitar tracks?
Oh, that's a good question. It's all about placement, just like anything else. So when you're using two microphones, the crosstalk you're talking about we can be referring to one of two things, which is, the vocal mic picking up the guitar and the guitar mic picking up the vocal. We can also be talking about if those microphones are not in phase. And that means either the polarity of the sound waves are reverse of each other, or the sound waves are hitting them at different times. Both things will cause you problems. So microphones, any microphone. So the diaphragm on this microphone is facing me. The other side of this microphone is the rejection side. So positioning microphones to utilize the rejection side of the microphone is one of the keys to doing things like that. So if you have a vocalist who's singing and you want to reject the guitar, kind of keeping that in mind as you move it around is helpful. So getting your microphone kind of up here, and also being aware of where they're singing to. I like to kind of always watch somebody, because you'll think people are going to sing straight out and they never do. A lot of times people kind of will look down at their guitars and a variety of other things. But typically, if you get a microphone kind of out in front of them, if you watch some of the acoustic sessions, you'll see me do this. If you get the microphone kind of just out in front of them, kind of shoulder high, that'll help reject it. A figure of 8 microphone, like a ribbon mic, like Andy was talking about, has a different pickup pattern called a figure of 8, and it's got a really strong side rejection, and that can help too. So you can position microphones using the rejection side to minimize things.
Interesting.
When you have 2 microphones that are out of phase, Gabe, what happens? What does it sound like? We hear, people read about that, but if nobody's ever tried it or experienced it, what happens when microphones are out of phase to the sound?
It'll kind of one of two things. You'll hear, you lose all low end a lot of times. So all of a sudden, let's say you're miking an acoustic guitar with 2 microphones and there's no low end, and you mute one microphone. It's like, oh man, it sounds so good. Why does it sound bad with the other one? It's because your mics are out of phase. Right. And that means that like I said, either your polarity is wrong, which means if you blow up the waveforms, you'll see that the way they're spiking is opposite each other. I mean, those little sound waves are not going the same direction; they're going opposite direction, or they're out of time, literally out of phase this way. So there's phase polarity and there's phase time. The other thing that can happen sometimes is it'll sound like you have if you've ever used a wah-wah pedal, like it's kind of got a half-cocked wah sound, and you'll hear this wah thing. It's terrible. And that's an out of phase sound also.
Or it's cool. One of the two.
Or it's cool.
That's right. That's right.
I have an electric guitar that has out of phase positions intentionally. And if you like Peter Green, there you go.
So let me say one more thing, Jay, before we move on. I think that a really good lesson for anybody who's like just starting to become an engineer, trying to record at home, if you can have a buddy play guitar, and you get yourself a pair of headphones, and if you are using 2 microphones, set one up and like start with like what Gabe said, find a spot that you like the way it sounds, and think about the music that's being played. Is it a fingerstyle piece? Is somebody bashing on it really hard? Find that sweet spot, and then with your other mic and your headphones on, come in and move it around, and you'll hear exactly what Gabe is talking about. You'll get to some spots where all the bass will drop out, and you're out of phase then. And sometimes just moving a microphone an inch or 2 into a different spot is just enough where it's like, oh, there's the low end again. That's you're more in phase when you get that kind of a reaction or get that kind of a result from the 2 microphones together. It's really hard to hear when you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
There's
There's
an old rule called the 3-to-1 rule. So you want microphones, like if you're using 2 microphones to record a guitar, you want the microphones to be 3 times as far from each other as they are from the thing they're pointed at. So if I have microphone A 12 inches from the guitar, I want microphone B to be 3 feet from the guitar. Mm-hmm. So you're less likely to have phase issues when you do it like that. Or they can be, this way. They don't necessarily have to be forward and backward, meaning you don't necessarily have to have distance, but you want more distance this way.
All right, we got a question from the feed. I believe it's Jeremy. Any USB microphones that you recommend?
Any of the blue ones are pretty good. The AT2020 USB is pretty good. There are new ones that come out all the time. I know AKG has a new one out. I haven't used a ton of them because, obviously I have a lot of, all the mics I have don't use USB. But any of the kind of the major companies are going to be pretty good ones. The ones I tend to avoid are the kind of like no-name Amazon brands. But like we said earlier, what you use matters far less than where you put it.
I have a second question. Are there any headphones, or do you recommend monitors, or do you recommend headphones when people are mixing?
Mixing, I will always recommend monitors. They are more true. They just are. If you're starting out and headphones are what you have the budget for, then headphones are what you have the budget for. You got to do what's within your means for sure. I don't want you to not eat or something so you can make music, but you will get a more accurate picture of things on monitors always. And what monitors you use matter too. I'll see people who are in a bedroom with 8-inch studio monitors, and they're way too big for the space. If you're an average person in a bedroom, a good 5-inch monitor are perfect. That's all you're going to need. There's loads of good ones out there for not that much money.
And I think, to reiterate, the big monitors, often looking at equipment, bigger seems better sometimes, right? But when you have an 8-inch monitor and your space isn't large enough, the frequency can't even resolve.
Yeah,
right?
Jay and I talked
about
about this
that.
really recently, actually. Yeah, like all frequencies, all wavelengths have a standard distance, how long that frequency is. If you think back to like 5th grade science or whatever, when they show you, sound waves for the first time, as they diminish, they flatten out, and they need to be able to resolve, or they just reflect back at you. So if you're using a big monitor with a lot of power and it's pushing out a ton of sound waves, they're going to go hit that back wall and bounce right back at you. So I'm in a room, my studio I think is 22 feet long, and I'm using 6.5-inch speakers. Those are what's right for this space.
Interesting. Lindsay, question.
Yep. I think you kind of touched on this in your intro, but we'll just clearly answer it. It says, do you know of an app or other user-friendly recording device that a non-professional like me can use that would record in stereo? Thanks. It's from Bruce, and he also wants to say thank you for the Taylor Primetime episodes. They're great. So
I love Primetime episodes.
Yeah.
In stereo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recommend. The little Shure MV88. This thing records left and right stereo, plugs right into an iPhone with Lightning or an iPad, and you can record right to your music memo app. The simplest thing. Like the little Zoom recorders. Those will do.
The new MV88, the upgrade, has a cable out, so it will work with Android devices as well.
Rad. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one. The Shure app is pretty cool. It allows you to go create the direction of your microphone and set the gain structure and EQ just a little. It's really good.
Nice.
Sorry, I added to that.
Go
Andy, question.
This is a good question. How can I reduce the louder guitar squeaks when recording? It's a common problem with moving your hand up and down the fingerboard and getting that squeaky sound.
I think that, finger squeaks.
Yep.
I'll say a couple things. Wash your hands before you play. Use coated strings. The polyweb elixirs will squeak less, I have found. And mic placement is going to matter. If you mic away from where your hand is, you're going to hear your finger squeaks less.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, then the question goes on to say that, are there settings in the recording gear, or can I use a noise gate to get rid of those noises? What do you think about that?
There aren't really settings in the gear I can recommend that we're gonna reduce that. They're a function of how you play.
Yeah, right.
And how hard you grip strings. So if you grip strings really hard, when you let off a chord and move to a new chord, you're going to hear squeaking. Yep. Or a new note. That's just part of playing. Most of the time, in most things that I do, I leave those things alone, actually, unless they're just really egregious and they're really offensive and constant. And then I'll actually go in and automate them, which means moving faders to draw them out. I've done this. I've done this even like recently. I'll automate them out, and then you can use things like multiband compression or de-essers. You can actually select a frequency band and have a compressor kick in to keep that that level from getting too hot. But nothing really beats automating them out. Or honestly, the best thing you can still do is just move the mic. Moving a microphone is the most effective solution to everything. Usually, moving a microphone is so much more effective than anything you can do with EQ or compression or anything you can do in post. Getting the microphone part right makes everything else better, always.
So that's why they call it a mic stand.
That's right.
That's incredible. I like where you're going. That was nerdy. I gotta.
You're waiting for that one.
I was waiting for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, is it my turn?
It's your turn.
I got a good question, and this one's awesome. We talk about this a lot, so we'll just hit it. You even touched on it a little bit. Let's go in a little deeper. How do you deal with pick noise when recording with a mic at the 12th fret? From Michael.
Good question. Thank you, Michael. Move the microphone. That's going to be my answer to a lot of stuff like this. So, most commonly when people have issues from things like miking at the 12th fret, the issue is that the microphone is too close. Often when I see people who are getting started in home recording, the microphone is like this far from the guitar. And if you move it this far from the guitar, you'll hear a total difference. And the other thing you can do is, if you're hearing a lot of pick noise, that's from your picking hand. So if you angle the microphone slightly away from the sound hole, you're going to use the rejection side of the microphone. So cardioid pickup microphones have a kind of a mushroom shaped pickup pattern, right? So if you take a microphone and you angle it, you're going to be rejecting some of that noise. It'll help.
Awesome. Let's see. It's how many
comments are like roaring. So
they're roaring, and I'm trying to look at those, and then also the emailed ones that people had sent them in. So we got one from the email. It says from Jim, how many mics to record the guitar? Do you like to use 1, 2? Would someone ever need to use 3 mics, like maybe 2 for the guitar, maybe, and then obviously 1 for voice? Would pick up the guitar, and then he wants to let you know he's using a Yamaha Mixer MG12 XU and a Boss Katana 100. Is it better to record the guitar with the mics, or should I just go direct?
Oh man, I totally want to dive in.
I know,
because the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Okay, the MG21 XU mixer, it does have a USB out option, but it sums to stereo. So you will not get individual channels out of that. You will get a stereo sum of everything you do in the mixer. It's really meant to record live performances. So you can kind of do any combination of those things. How many mics is the right answer? It depends on the application. If you're doing something that's busy, that's a lot of strumming, like in a big rock song, I'm probably going to use 1 microphone. I don't need 20 channels of audio of an acoustic guitar to capture what it's supposed to do in that setting. If I'm just playing a simple rhythm part, I'm probably going to, like Andy, use a ribbon microphone and just kind of capture the percussive nature of the guitar, because that's the part of it you need. That's the purpose of it. If I'm recording, Lance Allen or Andy Powers or somebody, yeah, I might use 3 or 4 microphones. You're going to get a lot of nuance out of somebody like that. And they're going to play a lot of, really beautiful, expressive things. And I want to capture that. So yeah, I'll start with my standard position, and I might do a bridge side one a few feet away. I might go 10 feet away in the room and catch a bunch of room reverb. If you're recording at Southern Ground Nashville, man, they got mics way up on the ceiling and all kinds of stuff. And you slam them with compression and they sound like, magical baby angels singing, like, like
to follow that, my answer would be also yes.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about recording is you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And with V-Class guitars, that's one of the things that Andy was showing us in the beginning in 2016 when he showed us these for the first time. He would say simply, walk 30 feet across the room. His workshop's pretty large. And the wild thing is it would get louder and it would bloom. The projection was insane 30 feet away. So put a mic there.
Yeah.
Or put a mic over your shoulder, or all these different places that Gabriel said, put a mic. It's pretty fun.
And with V Class, the thing that's rad is one of the things. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to kind of unpack when you're talking about V Class, but my personal favorite thing is, and it comes from recording, is and anybody who's ever tried recording has experienced this moment. You get to the end of a really good take and you hit that last chord, and you just hear how out of tune your guitar sounds as the whole thing diminishes, and it's just warbling. It's just the worst. And you want to like punch in and retune and fix it or whatever, but you know, as notes diminish, and you can put a tuner on most guitars and watch this. As notes diminish, they actually go in and out of tune. And because V Class, the sound waves decay in such a linear fashion, it's really not a problem anymore at all. You don't notice it. It's just this really nice linear decay, and it's fantastic to record. It's great. I love it.
He's bona fide, like, biggest nerd on the planet. Andy, your turn.
Oscar wants to know, how can I know what room I want to record in?
Oh, that's a really good question. So that's a great question, Oscar. And like something like Mike Choice, my answer is, what do you want it to sound like? First of all, experiment. Record in all the rooms that you have available. I want to record in a room that has the least room noise. So you don't want to record somewhere where you can hear a bunch of other things like traffic through the walls outside if you can help it, or people, or really loud HVAC or something like that. Avoid those things. You may want to record in a bedroom or something that sounds what we would call really dead and has very little reflective properties. You may want to record in a bathroom and get a bunch of reverberation. Experiment.
The other thing too that I think it's interesting, right, Gabe, is that you walk into a room and people hear reflections and they automatically think, "Oh, this is going to be cool," but in reality, it's usually not. And the biggest example of that is like when you go next time you're in like a Marriott Fairfield Inn or a Courtyard, clap your hands, stand in the middle of the room, clap your hands, and you'll hear the sound go. It'll echo off of each wall because the walls are parallel to each other, which is usually the worst thing for a room, because you don't want the waves to just keep bouncing back and forth. And you'll, once you start paying attention to things like that, you'll figure out where in whatever room you're in actually has less of that going on. I mean, most of us are working in our houses right now, or our apartments, right? And so you got all that stuff you just talked about. You've got refrigerator noises, you've got car alarms, all those things are a problem. But if you can find a spot in your room or dampen part of it with blankets, pillows, whatever you've got, it'll help to get rid of some of those waves that just want to bounce back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I've even, like, when I got started, we would do things like take a spare mic stand, and, you know, if you kind of position it so that it's a T shape, so that you actually take like a boom stand and you make a T shape out of it, and we drape like heavy blankets over it, and put it on the rejection side of the microphone. Because if you think about when you play an acoustic guitar, sound goes out, it hits a wall and bounces back. So I'll say this, in any room, you want to have absorbative things. If you want a quiet recording, which most of the time with an acoustic guitar, that's what you want. You probably don't want a bunch of room reverb. You might, and that might be cool to you for one song, but most of the time you're going to want to really hear the guitar. So you want to be, you want to face things that are going to absorb sound and not reflect them back to you. So if you can do things like that, you know, beds, mattresses, things like that will absorb sound. But if not, you can kind of jerry rig things and it works great.
Yeah. And the other thing is that when you record in a room that has a lot of reverb, you can't get rid of it later.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can gate things, but on an acoustic guitar, it just kind of kills the tone.
Yeah.
It's not great. On a snare, it doesn't really matter. So on acoustic guitar, you really, most of the time, I want things to be kind of as clean as they can get.
Vibrations. All right, so check this out. It is getting late, so we're going to keep this show moving. Each of us will do one more question, and then we'll go into the next segment. You should all stick around for this. But I'm really thrilled about this question in the feed, because this is going to show off your guitar sales chops.
Oh, man.
Ooh. Yeah. Andy, this question is not for you. This is for Gabriel O'Brien. All right. Are your 12 fret GCs very different than 14 fret would a 512 CE 12 fret be considered a warm guitar?
Yeah, that's going to be a really warm guitar. So cedar is a softer wood than spruce. So it's going to have a lower volume ceiling, but it's going to be more responsive for like finger style. So it requires, spruce likes to be driven. It likes to have a little more push to get the most tone out of it. But with cedar, if you play lightly or you play a lot of finger style, you can get tone with less effort, but it also has a lower volume ceiling. So if you dig into cedar and you strum, it's just going to compress. It's going to be very warm sounding. It's going to have a lot of mid-range, and a 12 fret will have kind of a little more enhanced low end than you're going to see on a 14 fret version. Yes. Because the bridges move back into the center of the guitar. So you're just going to get a little more sonic vibration out of it.
That's pretty good.
There's a kind of a
It's been a few years, right?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. There's kind of an addition.
Still do it.
Kind of an addition here, right? V-class guitars, they're different. They sound different when you're holding them. What makes a V-class guitar great for recording? What some people say, Martin D28, it hits you in the chest. It sounds so great right here, right? It may not be the best guitar for recording, but what would make V-class great for recording?
Yeah, I mean, things like the thing about guitars, we buy with our gut instinct and to an extent with our eyes. So you have to think about, what am I going to use this thing for? What is my main application for this thing? If your main application is to play unplugged and bluegrass jam nights, then yeah, you might want a D28, man. You might want to crank that low end. If you're going to go play it on a pop record or a rock record or a lot of things, that's not going to sit well. The engineer is going to go in and chop off all the low end of your guitar under about 200 hertz because you're going to be in the way of the bass player and the kick drum. And, it just takes more EQ work. So, what guitar you pick for the application can matter a lot. V-Class is great for recording, as I said earlier, because of that linear decay thing. It just sits really well in mixes, and because you don't have to worry about notes kind of rubbing up against each other, or notes or chords kind of warbling within a larger mix. Because things are so linear, the way they'll sit in a mix seems to require a lot less work, or at least from my perspective. And I just mixed a lot of V-Class guitars in the last year or two, especially recently. I've mixed a lot of V-Class guitars very recently.
More than 200?
I don't think there's more than, there's not more than 200 guitars in one project. I've mixed more than 200 V-Class guitars in the last couple of years, I'll tell you that.
Andy.
Nope, my turn.
Lindsay.
How dare
Andy,
you?
I was going to give you the best for
Lindsay.
Buddy.
Best for last.
Oh, okay, go for that. And
or you can go, it's fine.
All right.
We've heard this comment a few times lately. I'm just going to repeat it.
What's that?
Wait till y'all hear Lindsay love
oh my gosh,
sing and play guitar.
You guys are hyping this up.
I've heard it.
I've recorded it.
I've heard it.
You guys are nice. I appreciate that. There's some questions in the feed. A good one from Raven, and then there's also one from I can't pronounce the username. I think it's like gaseous disease 123. I don't know. I probably totally butchered that, but you can play off this. Raven wants to know, what about software? If you could just maybe go from the most user-friendly softwares, which people will probably point out, GarageBand, things like that.
Yeah.
And so what are the most user-friendly softwares? And then obviously where we can go, and maybe just give us a rundown of 2 basic plugins or things you can do to treat an acoustic guitar to make it sound
the best you can.
Man, she went plugins on Gabe.
Well,
I know.
Well, because people.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be here in the morning.
You only have a minute and 20 seconds to answer this question.
No, that's not. Okay, so basic software. If you've never used recording software, it doesn't matter. They're all going to be the same. Everything has a learning curve, and you're going to have to learn some stuff. If you've never used any of them, it doesn't matter, because you're going to have to figure out how to use them. GarageBand is a great program. It's free on Macs, and it's a great way to get started. The other cool thing about GarageBand is if you have GarageBand projects and then you kind of move up to Logic later, you can open them in that software. But there's all kinds of good free software. There's, Cakewalk and, I think Pro Tools First and all kinds of things that, they're all going to be be pretty good.
Ableton, Cubase.
Ableton, Cubase. Yeah. Cubase is, pro software. Reaper. A lot of people use Reaper now. Like, they're all going to be good, and they're all going to be the same amount of easy or hard if you've never used anything. You just start where you start. I use Logic. When I started off in Cubase, I think. Actually, so this will date me a little bit. When I started off recording, we didn't use software. Pro Tools was thousands of dollars, and we used 4 tracks to tape, and then 8 tracks, and then we used, like Boss had those standalone recorders. We had those, and then I think maybe Cubase, or there was something else with a weird name. I'll have to ask my buddy. As far as things you can do to get things to sound good, I started out in live sound, so some of the same principles apply. Gain structure is really, really important to recording. So when you set the gain levels of things, you want everything to hit similar gain levels on the way in. So when you set up a microphone, typically the standard for recording is minus 18 dBs. So on your little VU meter thing, you'll see minus 18, kind of anywhere between minus 18 and minus 12 is okay. If you have things smacking 0 or redlining all the time, you have problems because you're going to experience clipping. And you'll have to either go in and try to repair things, which is really hard and not usually doable. So if you kind of aim for that sweet spot and you'll listen back and you'll go, well, it sounds quiet. It doesn't sound like a record yet. No, it doesn't, because there's a lot of stuff that comes after that. So when Lindsay asks about plugins, typically in my signal chain, you'll see corrective EQ or subtractive EQ first, which means I'm going to go through and use some kind of EQ. And all recording software will come with stock plugins that are great. There's also things you can buy from like Slade and Waves and Universal Audio. There's loads of good plugins out there. I use a lot of Slade stuff. I use a lot of Wave stuff, Plugin Alliance. They're all going to be really good. Typically, I'll use subtractive EQ first, which means getting rid of anything you don't need or don't like. And then I'll use some form of compression most of the time. So what compression does is it smooths out the volume level of a signal. So it's going to take the highest peaks of something and keep them from being too loud. It's just going to kind of put a cap on them. And it also will allow you to gain up the rest of the signal. So you're normalizing kind of the output volume of that. And then typically I'll use, if I'm going to use more EQ, it'll be after that first layer of compression.
Perfect.
That was the shortest minute and 20 seconds I've ever heard in my life. Andy, do you have a question?
I have a couple questions, but let me pick one here.
You can go two. I'll try to be fast, I promise.
Okay, cool. So here's the first one is I was thinking back to, I've seen Jay do this, and you talked about earlier, like if you take a direct signal from the ES2 and also you put a microphone in front of the guitar, okay?
Yeah.
So in that scenario, do you find yourself using one particular source for a part of that sound in many cases? In other words, when you've got a DI and a microphone and you go to mix it and you try to make it sound like a guitar, and you use both sources, do you find that you use the DI for a particular part of the sound and the microphone for another, or does it change?
When I record with a DI, like specific to acoustic guitars, when I record with a DI, it's mostly as a backup, but yes to the other part, because it is great for things like low end articulation. If you have some low notes when you're recording anything in a room, low notes, low frequencies are longer wavelengths, so they bloom, right? So they naturally get muddier. So if you have a DI feed off something and you need a little more articulation in the low end, let's say you're recording like a baritone guitar, right? Baritone guitars are low frequencies. They're just going to be mushy by nature. And you have a DI feed out of it, you're going to get a lot more articulation out of those low notes. Same thing with any guitar. But yeah, the low end is where I'll use a pickup because you tend to get those low things to pop out a little better.
Yeah. Good.
So, in something where I'm mixing and using the pickup, you'll probably hear 80% microphone and 20% pickup. But there are things that there's content live right now on Taylor Social that's 100% the ES2 because of something else that happened, a bad mic cable. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
people if you go through the comments, oh, the guitar sounds so good. And, like I talk to, loads of people about guitars and like the ES2 is great. The ES2 is really great. It's really great to record with. And how many countless times have I showed up to shoot some video and said, oh man, so-and-so borrowed my mics. Well, I've got an ES2 and we just make it happen and it sounds good as can be. Yep.
So
listen, they're coming.
Wait, what just happened? Oh man, we got bombed.
Listen, they're coming for me in the chat, by the way.
They're coming for you?
Yeah, because I mispronounced the username. Listen, guys. I played Boggle last night and I lost bad to everybody.
Yeah, I saw that. You got spanked a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm not good at deciphering close things. Like I
Guys,
you could have read that 20 different ways.
Your username.
Gas is a disease. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Gas is I get it now.
Guitar acquisition syndrome.
I get it. No, now I see it. I see it. But
somebody earlier asked what guitars were on the wall behind me. There's a GT and a Builder's Edition 517, and this is an 814 CE Deluxe here. There's more over there. A lot more.
There's more?
Nice.
How many Taylors do you have? Wait.
What in the world?
What
Security.
just happened?
Security.
Hey. We need security here.
Yeah.
What just happened? Wait. How did What is going on here? What is going on here?
It's like a demented Santa Claus.
This is crazy.
Go.
Is Paul Tobias
Paul
on the show?
Oh man.
I think it's that time.
It is that.
It must be that time if Paul Tobias is here.
It's that time. We just got way more talk showy, and
Yes, we
there's
did.
going to be Paul. First and foremost, how are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing very well. Little chilly here in Chicago, but wait. Look can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Spot on, 50% humidity.
I am. Nice work.
Good job, Paul
Hey,
Tobias.
I listen to Primetime, so I know to humidify.
Where are you right now?
Downers Grove.
Downers Grove, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Paul Tobias from Tobias Music in suburban Chicago, Downers Grove, Illinois. And are you sitting in your Taylor room?
I happen to be in the Taylor room. Month of December, things get so crazy here in the store that I just pretty much stay here all night, everything. I got a cot and back, and I, scrub up in the morning, brush my teeth, but I'm here 24/7 this time of year.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, Paul, good to see you. Oh, he's got music. All right, he's got a guitar.
He's guitaring.
Okay, all right. So this is where we're going. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving the show past the Q&A. Gabriel, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for showing and dropping your knowledge. We love to do this. Some people love you in the feed. Some people don't love you in the feed. Some people love me. Some people don't love me. Some people love Lindsay. Everyone likes Andy.
No. Yes.
They love Andy.
Everyone likes Andy.
It is the truth. That is how it all works. But For months now, I wouldn't say months, maybe maybe a month or so, we've been talking about doing a very special trivia session here on Taylor Primetime. It is going to be a trivia show, a competition between shootout. That's what we'll call it. A trivia shootout, a Taylor trivia shootout or Primetime trivia shootout between Paul Tobias and Gabriel O'Brien. As most of you know, the rules of Primetime trivia is that Paul and Gabe can't answer the questions. So we have a couple of segments before we get into trivia. Okay? We have the last ever Sharpies question. We're going to do one more Sharpies question, and then we're going to change that in season 2. Right? Remember, after this week, we're taking a 4-week break, and then we're going to come back with more exciting shows, a better background, supposedly, right, Lindsay?
Oh, yeah.
How do you get better than Buddy the Elf?
I honestly think this might be my new thing. All right. I have something set up, but we might start having people join me.
I like it.
Bob Taylor might join me.
That would be amazing. I have good photos. Okay, anyway. So, before we get into trivia, and I will tell you what the very special prize for trivia is tonight, we have to finish the show with Gabriel O'Brien real quick. And we wanted Paul to be a part of this. It's very special, okay? This is the very last Sharpies question. Lindsay, it is your turn to ask the last Sharpies question. You want me to ask it? You can ask. You want me to ask it?
You know, you can't put me on the spot. I asked like stumpers. They'll take too long.
Okay, I'll ask the question. That's fine.
I have one.
Okay.
Wait, Jay, can I say something real quick?
You can.
I got to work with Chris quite a bit. I just have to tell you, he is just the most awesome dude. He's awesomely awesome. Really helped us out with all our marketing and everything, and he will be missed. But I just want to say Sharpie's a good dude.
Cool.
Sharpie is a fantastic dude,
So
and we
cool.
miss him dearly.
Sharpie.
For those of you who don't know, he left Taylor Guitars to go work in the beer industry, which is kind of also cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out there. A little sad that I haven't gotten a case of anything from him yet. Like,
Seriously.
I am also in agreement with you, but we'll take that up with Sharpie offline.
Yeah.
How's that? All right. So we're going to go into Sharpie's question. It is the very last Sharpie's question. And Lindsay, because you are Lindsay,
Yeah.
and because you stump people, you have the honor of doing the very last Sharpie's question.
All right.
Andy,
Well,
And it's for
do
Gabe.
you
It's for
do
Gabe.
you have a song,
it's
Andy?
for Gabe.
Will she ask about digital delays or microphones out of phase? When should we use compressors? Let's hear from Professor Gabe. Here comes the last Sharpie's question.
Yes. Gabe
Professor,
O'Brien.
thank you, sir. My
Yes,
dad is a professor. He'll appreciate that.
Professor O'Brien. Dead or alive, who is one band or artist that you would love to produce or engineer their album?
Oh man, that's a big question. That's
Go.
like asking somebody what their favorite record is. Gosh, I feel like I've already gotten it. Like lately, I've been doing that. Glenn Hansard. Let's do Glenn Hansard.
There it is. Glenn
Lead
Hansard.
singer of Frames, Swell Season, Glenn Hansard. Josh Ritter would be amazing also. Those are 2 records I would love to make.
Amazing. Oh, Jay's
Andy.
word.
You know what time it is?
What time?
This is the best part of the whole show.
Sports time.
Kind of. Now, you're the best part of you and Lindsay, you get it. But it's 2 minutes of sports. Please play something.
We call it 2 minutes of sports, the last 2 of the year. It could be riding a steer, diving from piers, booze and cheers, X game premieres, racing reindeers, the shifting of gears, bowling and beers, in 2 minutes of sports.
I have a 2 minutes of sports question for Jay.
Ooh.
Jay, what's the Tigers' record against?
Hold on. Ask. Go for it.
What's the Tigers' record against the Indians, Jay?
Bad. At one point, it was 1-19. All right. Thanks for that, you goof. All right, but let's talk about something else that's near and dear to all of us, our hearts, and that is baseball.
Baseball.
And this is going to gear you guys, warm you up for trivia tonight. But what was the greatest World Series Game 7 of all time? Paul.
Let me think for a minute.
Pretty sure Paul and I are going to agree on this one.
What would that be? Go ahead, Gabe. You answer that one.
Indians Cubs, man.
That was classic.
It should sting more than it does, I think. But it's so good that it's like it's fine.
That was classic baseball. It
that was
doesn't get
incredible.
better than that. I mean, if you wrote a movie script about that Game 7
World Series, yeah.
It would make a great movie script, but no one would have thought to throw in that rain delay in the 9th inning or extra innings. I'm sorry. So, no, that was a classic.
So if you're unfamiliar, we're talking about 2016 when the Cubs beat the Cleveland Indians in Game 7, hands down. That was some of the best baseball I've ever seen in my life, and I wanted these two on here so that we could talk about it. All right.
So good.
Thanks for 2 minutes of sports. It is now time for trivia. So here's the deal. How many questions do we put together, Andy? 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we got a tiebreaker. All right. So we got one tiebreaker. Hopefully we don't have to go past that. Best of 7.
Okay.
All right. You have to make an obnoxious if you know the answer into your microphone.
Okay.
The prize.
Hey, can I say one more thing?
You can always say whatever.
I see you guys all have those fancy microphones. I ran out to Hobby Lobby and I got this one for $6.99, made in China. But the microphone I'm using tonight. Anyway, go ahead.
Paul Tobias, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Tobias. Okay, so we got 7 questions. We're going to do best out of 7. The prize tonight is whoever wins best out of 7, Gabriel or Paul Tobias, we will, as Taylor Guitars, donate an Academy 12 guitar to your local or a local music program of your choice. How's that?
Amazing.
Great
So
idea.
Academy 12 guitar. That's what you're playing right now, aren't you, Andy?
Nylon string.
You're playing a nylon. We're going to do a steel string. So an Academy 12 to the whatever music program of your choice. All right? You guys ready for these questions?
Now, do we blurt out the answer?
No, you have to make
an obnoxious buzzer noise, Paul.
You have to make an obnoxious buzzer noise, like ah. You got to make a fool of yourself.
Hold your microphone up. Make the buzzer noise in your microphone so we can hear it. Okay.
Yeah, you got to make a microphone. Yeah, into your microphone. And all right, cool. Ready? I'm gonna go with question number 1. This is for both of you. You guys ready?
Go.
Ready.
All right. Trivia question number 1. How many Builder's Edition models are in the current Taylor lineup?
Oh, man.
Wait, I can cheat on this one. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yikes. I'm counting on my fingers. That's how bad this is.
I'm going to have to guess. You think after 35 years with Taylor Guitars, I would know this?
Like I have to type them out. Okay, and I'm gonna wager my guess.
Yeah, I'm going to guess.
Okay,
Gabe,
you can
Gabe,
both
you're
guess,
first.
but go. Who's first?
Gabe first. Yeah, he said,
Gabe.
I'm in first. It's
we're gonna need an answer.
yeah. I think it's 6.
Yeah, we're gonna need an answer.
I
We're
think
gonna
it's
need an
6.
How many?
I think it's 6.
Oh,
No.
No,
I am going to say there's 13.
I can name them.
well, I'm so
Nobody
glad that you guys brought Andy. That you put extra questions because you both got it wrong.
Yeah.
How many?
Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is
number.
what is the
Come
feed?
on,
Is the feed blowing up right now?
Yeah, yeah,
exploding.
yeah.
How many
Mostly
are
it's
in
just,
the feed?
It just looks like an auction right now.
Yeah.
Raven's awesome.
Yeah.
It just looks like an auction right now.
Yes.
All right, the answer
I can
is
name them.
Eric won him again. Eric won again. If he were to win, he would have won.
Eric is on my
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Okay, Eric is on Gabriel's team apparently.
The answer is 9.
The answer is 9. All right, you
Say
guys both got
man.
that wrong. It's tied. All right.
We should do them all wrong, and then they'll have to donate to both programs.
Yeah, something like that. All right, ready?
Oh,
Paul?
it's more
Made a
than
pact
9.
beforehand.
You want us to name them?
All right. I can show you them.
I can
Builder's
vote.
Edition 912 CE.
912, 818, 517, 614 CE, K14, K24, 517, 717,
16, 324.
652.
How many is that, Jay?
Paul just has to turn around and look. I'm doing this
Yeah,
from
9.
There's
Yeah,
9.
1.
9.
There's 9. We're gonna go on to the next question. You guys. This
Oh,
is
you
why
know
we don't let you answer questions.
I
This
was
is why.
counting Honey Burst and Natural Top. Boom. I win.
There may be a technicality
numbers,
there, but
That's
okay,
fair.
we'll go. Well, that's fair.
Nobody gets it.
Fair.
Nobody gets it. Okay,
Yeah,
Lindsay's the
Oh,
judge.
it's gonna be a long night.
So good.
Question number 2. Fast attack, quick note decay, reflective of player's technique, and transparent tone are descriptors of what kind of tone wood? Side tone wood, back and side tone wood.
And
Gabe.
Maple.
Gabe. Maple.
Yes.
Gabe's got one.
Dude, you're quick. I must have a slow connection here.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, Paul. You won the World Series though in 2016. You're fine.
Paul actually won the World Series.
Yeah, he did. He did. He won the World Series of Mike Osman.
That's right.
He did. Okay. Question number 3. What kinds of materials does Taylor Guitars use on fingerboards? Yes, go ahead.
They use 2, ebony and eucalyptus.
Yeah.
Boom. Good job,
All
Paul.
right. 1 and 1.
I actually,
Paul, 1 and 1.
I'm getting an alert that my internet connection is unstable now. I actually answered it first, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
We'll give it to Paul.
Gabe, I need all the
Dying.
help I can get.
All right,
All you,
ready?
Paul.
Ready.
Question. During cold winter months, what do you need to pay attention to keep your guitar healthy?
Tie.
Oh, that was a tie. Was it a tie? All right, Paul, you go first.
Humidity. Humidity is your friend.
That's what you were going to say?
Yeah, that's what everyone was going to say.
Okay, that one's a tie.
All right. So still 1-1 then, I think.
It's still 1-1.
We're going to need those extra questions, fellas.
Yeah,
I think I have
Lady.
some. We can do it. We can do it.
we can do it. Question. Scale length is determined by the measurement between what 2 parts on the guitar?
And
Yep.
Gabriel.
the saddle and nut.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a tie.
Question. In 1974, how much was a chicken and bean burrito in San Diego County?
Ooh.
Go for it.
$1.13.
Close,
Wrong.
but no.
And I'm going with $1.65.
Ooh, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's it. We got to give him that one.
Yeah.
We thought it was $1.69, but it might have been, that 69, 65 might have both been said that night. So we're not so clear, but that's right. We give that one to Gabe.
All right.
Wasn't alive.
Okay. Ready? Question. Name 2 benefits of V-class bracing.
And
Oh. That's slow.
I can
for
name
it.
a bunch of them. Better
2.
volume and sustain, better intonation, more linear note decay, all kinds of things.
More volume.
There you go.
All right.
This
And this is
rigged.
the last question. How many we got? 1.
Listen, this is
2,
the last question, but but Paul can't catch up
Yep.
unless we give him the
Let's
first.
go. Let's give it. Let's go anyway.
Let's
it
give
on.
him the first one.
Okay.
All right, Paul, you got the first one. But here's the thing. It's best out of 7, and Gabe answered 4 right.
Yeah,
so
it's-
Gabe
it's-
wins.
Gabe wins.
But here's the thing. This
If
is
I
a
win,
if you win, this is a last chance qualifier for Paul Tobias. If he gets this one right, we will donate an Academy 12 guitar to his charity as well. How's that? Or his music program as well. All right. Question. What is the best hot-rodded vehicle when off-road driving in Baja, California?
Land Rover.
Close. What year?
Close. It was actually, you got to go year, and Andy, the answer's wrong, but it's cool. We're close.
We're close, right?
it's a Land Cruiser.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Gabriel
Gabe,
wins.
It's a 90,
5-2.
the 96, right?
96 and 97 were his years, yeah.
Very good. That's
Gabriel
not-
O'Brien, ladies and gentlemen, on the feed, you now know why we don't let him answer any of the questions.
Does that mean I can start answering them?
You can start answering them from now on, and we'll send you prizes, Paul.
Hey, just a heads up for those of you who are in the group and still have questions, or your question didn't get answered, and don't be sour about it. You can come hang out in the Taylor Guitars Owners group on Facebook if you want, and ask all the questions you want. I'll answer them, whenever I can.
Nice.
Yes.
Paul will answer them
Good
too.
Facebook page. No politics, no crazy stuff. It's all about guitars, Taylor guitars. Gabe does a great job moderating that. Everybody behaves themselves. But yeah, if you want some up to the minute information, that's a good place to hang out.
So do you want to give them information on how to get there if they're not in there now, Gabriel?
Yeah, it's called the Taylor Guitars Owners Group on Facebook. That's the whole name. You can find it just by searching for it. It's likely the first thing that comes up, but it's just Taylor Guitars Owners Group. There's no other words attached to it or countries or anything like that. It's just straight Taylor Guitars Owners Group. I think there's 11 or 12,000 members in our group now, something like that. It's a good group of people.
It is a good group.
Be a lot of fun in there.
Awesome.
Sometimes we have some fun kind of exclusive content. Sometimes we'll get some nice direct answers if something's, got us stumped, and we'll reach out to Andy Lund or Andy Powers or some of the guys at Taylor or Lindsay, and you get direct answers that way. But yeah, feel free to pop in there and ask recording questions if you got them. I'll help.
Also, Gabriel has a pretty recurring, it looks like we're going to have a recurring almost column-like in our digital version of Wood and Steel magazine. The last issue, I will link it in the comments afterwards, in the description afterwards. The last issue, you spoke about mic placement and mixing, if I'm correct.
A little bit.
And what this issue, the upcoming issue in January, is talking about getting a good sound with your ES2.
Mhm.
So some really good information. A non-Taylor employee with some really good information about our guitars. It's fun to have you. Gabe, it was really great to have you here. Paul, it was awesome to have you join us for trivia. We love you. We love Tobias music. You got any shout outs?
Yeah. Can I be the guest next week?
You can, but we're not going to go live. So it's just going to be a Zoom meeting.
It's just going to be Paul by himself.
I'll do it by myself. That's okay.
With that microphone.
Thank you as always, Lindsay Love. It's spectacular to have you here. Andy, your music has kept us going this whole year. It's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, in the feed.
Everybody keep an eye out from Andy.
This is the season finale of season 1 of Primetime. We will be back with season 2. We're taking a 4-week break just because we need a little bit of thinking to do. And we may or may not be working on a big project that's really near and dear to all of our hearts, at least Gabriel, mine, Andy, and Lindsay here. So you will learn about that in the new year. We will come back with Andy Powers swinging right when we come back on break. I think the first episode is what's new for 2019. We don't have a NAMM show, so hey, we might as well we kind of have a NAMM show.
You took us back 2 years.
Like you mean 2021.
He totally does. He took us back 2 years.
What did I say?
2019.
You Benjamin Buttoned.
2019.
I'm getting older as I get younger.
Yeah.
We'll meet in the middle.
Sorry, 2021. It's hard to say. I kind of want to go back, but we're going forward.
Yep.
Gabriel, thanks for hanging out with us. You got anything
to say?
Thanks
for having me, guys. Oh, thank you guys for having me. Thanks everybody for hanging out in the feed. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your questions and stuff, but you know, I'm always happy to help if anybody wants to reach out, and keep playing, keep experimenting, keep recording at home. Just try. It's going to be so much fun. You'll be glad you did.
We appreciate you, Andy.
Thank you, Gabe.
It's time to take it away.
Take us out
for season 1.
What was it? What was it? It was prime time. It was prime time. What the heck was it? Who's that Santa? Well, he was on prime time. Well, that was another prime time. Show number 29. We'll see y'all in the new year. Staying safe is the bottom line. Mr. Gabriel O'Brien says move the microphones around. Any room can be used to get your sound. Home recording on prime time on Tuesday. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Hey.
Happy New Year.
Good to see
Thanks
you guys.
for listening.